What's going on, Packers fans? Welcome into an all-new episode of the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. You can find the podcast at Pack a Day Podcast. As always, thanks so much for joining me today. We are going to get to our grades in just a moment. Before we get there, first of all, if you have not yet checked out Justice Mosqueda's episode from earlier today, highly recommend it. We talk about, is Matt LaFleur in the hot seat? What does that look like the remainder of this year and in the offseason? We talk about Asante Samuel and potentially picking him up. How do you replace Tucker Kraft? Packers, Eagles. We get into the weeds in a variety of different things like we always do. So highly recommend checking out that show if you have not done so already, wherever you find your favorite podcast. And of course, right here on the YouTube channel. I also want to shout out Evan Strasner for becoming a brand new Pack a Day Podcast YouTube member. Appreciate you a ton, Evan. Check out those memberships. But listen, even if, a monthly subscription isn't your cup of tea, totally get it. No worries whatsoever. Just make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. All those things help the algorithm a ton. Turn those notifications on. If you're on the audio side, make sure to get those automatic downloads turned on as well. Those things help the channel a ton. But more than anything, again, thank you so much for being here. Before we also continue forward, just want to touch base briefly on the Marjhon Neland situation. Obviously, details are continuing to roll in. Don't know everything that happened to lead up to the tragic situation that happened. First and foremost, thinking of the Dallas Cowboys, his family members, his girlfriend, anyone that obviously knew Marjhon Neland. It's a devastating situation. But what I really want to say here too is just know whatever situation you are in, no matter how bad it is, there's always a solution. There's always a choice. There's always an option. The National Suicide and Crisis Hotline is 988. All you have to do is dial 988 from your phone. If you need somebody to talk to, I can't probably solve, some of the stuff, but if you need a distraction, my DMs are open. If you just want to talk Packers for 5 or 10 minutes, both on Blue Sky and on Twitter, happy to do anything that I can, but just know you are loved, you are cherished, you are cared for. There's always people out there that want you to be here with us, and there's always a solution and a way out. So whatever it is, again, that you are going through, just try to find that next step, that next positive step in the right direction. And sometimes it just takes one thing to turn the corner. And I can't tell you what that one thing is, but maybe it's calling that hotline. Maybe it's finding somebody to talk to, whatever that thing is, find it. And you're just one step away from turning the corner and maybe getting your life back on track. So always an option, always a solution out there. There's a lot of great people that deal in whatever it is that you are going through, and just try to find the help that you can to make sure that we can make it to the next day, because this life is short. Cherish it. Find those moments that are really important to you, and also reach out to those that you love and make sure that they're doing okay, because you never know what's on the next side, and you don't want to have something like this happen in your life. And certainly none of us want it to happen to you either. So just take that moment and do what you can if you are struggling in a situation, to get the help you need, or to maybe reach out to somebody who may need some help as well. No easy way to transition off of that. Again, a very devastating situation that happened in Dallas, but we will continue forward. We're going to go next over the Packers practice update from today. Dontavian Wicks returned to practice. That is a great sign for Green Bay. In addition, Matthew Golden, Colby Wooden, and Aaron Banks were all practicing for the Packers. That's a great sign as well. However, LVN still not practicing. We knew Nate Hobbs was not going to practice. He's going to be out for a couple weeks. And then an interesting one, Savion Williams did not practice as well. Not sure what the ailment is there yet. We'll probably find out with Matt on Friday, but no indicator as of yet. Or I guess we should get I think we'll get an injury report. We should get an injury report later today. So we might have that for you tomorrow, but just keep an eye out. Not sure exactly what yet Savion Williams is dealing with, and if that is potentially something that could keep him out for this Eagles game. Meanwhile, Matt LaFleur did mention that Lucas Havrisik and Brandon McManus is a competition and remains a competition. Said both kickers were going to kick on Thursday. So does not seem like it's a foregone conclusion that McManus is going to be the kicker on Monday. It did seem like when Matt talked the other day that that's the way that they're leaning, that, Brandon McManus will be the kicker, but he did open the possibility today, or at least open the door a crack, that Havrisik could still earn and win that competition and maybe earn that job. We'll see if that means as soon as this Monday as well. I also want to shout out Luigi's Pizza. Listen, I'm talking this week about the Big Daddy double sausage, double pepperoni pizza. This is for bigger appetites and bigger cravings. It's a pub style pizza with thick, crunchy crust and heavy toppings, loaded with those amazing pepperonis and sausages that you know and love. It's the same great Luigi's flavors, but for those with a bigger appetite. It's got Wisconsin mozzarella, double the sausage, double the pepperoni, both perfectly seasoned, I might add. Their robust tomato sauce, which I absolutely love, a little bit of garlic and some spices. It makes the perfect pepperoni and sausage pizza. It's one of my favorites. It's going to be one of your favorites too. Find it in your freezer section at your local grocer. And of course, find Luigi's at luigispizza.com. Next up, also want to just shout out Alchemy Wealth Management. Time is running out for that free offer to get your free consultation. Head to retirewithryan.net and set up that free consultation today. You're not going to want to miss out on this opportunity. Ryan is awesome to work with. He's going to get you headed in the right direction for all of your retirement needs. Find some free literature online as well. If you don't want to do the consultation, you can also find some free information out there that's going to help you on your retirement journey. But I cannot stress it enough. Work with Ryan. He's awesome. You can set that up over at retirewithryan.net. And of course, Alchemy Wealth Management. All right, let's get to our grades and film review. It's what you've all been waiting for. Start with our observations first. Number one, this is going to come as a shock to most of you, if not all of you. Yeah, the play calling was pretty crappy in this game. And it's interesting because some of the stuff, for example, like we've talked about on, the little, let's take the Savion Williams fumble, for example. Another horizontal play call and things. All right, it's a run pass option, right? It's simple math. We've talked about it this week. Do you want to run or do you want to throw the bubble? Bubble looked open. Jordan made the right decision. Could have handed the ball off as well. If they just hand the ball off inside and it doesn't go anywhere, you're just like, this offensive line is brutal. This run game just can't get going. Maybe you're still complaining about the play call, but Jordan decides to swing it out. I think rightfully so to Savion Williams. Dobbs misses the block and Williams runs up the side of, the back of Romeo Dobbs and then ultimately fumbles the ball as well. Very poor execution on the play. Bad play call. To me, that's a very logical play call in that situation. Should he have handed it? Should he have thrown it? I think thrown it. Did they just execute very poorly? Yeah. I don't necessarily blame anything on the play call in that situation. What's interesting to me is there were a few times, kind of early-ish, like second quarter in this game where you could tell, we can talk about Jordan being impatient and like chucking the ball down the field to Christian Watson, for example. On that play, there is checkdowns available. There's a middle throw available. That's just a really bad play from Jordan. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. But there were other plays in this game where you could tell even Matt was getting a little too antsy, where he was calling some of these shot plays down the field where they just weren't there. I almost, it's funny because people want to see the downfield passing attack and didn't like the short game and didn't like the horizontal game. It was actually some of the stuff where I thought he got overzealous and a little bit on tilt trying to find some of those big plays down the field, and they just weren't there against this Carolina defense. So I thought that was poor. And then we've talked about the interesting thing about the third down screen, the little, bubble screen out to Emmanuel Wilson, or the little screen out to Emmanuel Wilson with the receivers and tight ends blocking in front of them. The interesting thing about that play, we talked about Romeo Dobbs backside slant, and then you've got the little screen on the left side. They ran the exact same play the play before. It just, he threw it to Dobbs on the backside. They then run that play, and then it's third down, and you call back-to-back same plays. And the truth of the matter is, in that situation, they should have just thrown to Romeo again. In my opinion, that they should have gone to Romeo. And, Jordan, and it's not a bad look throwing to the screen. And I don't know, maybe in that play, it's a true screen. Like, hey, we're just going to run the screen. Don't throw the backside. I don't know, again, what goes into that. But it was interesting to me that they ran the exact same play the play before and got a look at it. And honestly, Merrick played it pretty well. So you could see the maybe numbers advantage there, but Merrick played it well the play before. I'm very surprised that they went to that play right after it. And then even more so than that, again, I hate have to have it situations where you're running, screenplays, because they're boom or bust. They're do or don't. You don't get a second chance. There's no ad lib that you can make on top of it. But I thought, some unimaginative, easy for me to say, play calls in this game. I thought too aggressive at times, too passive at times. It just, Matt did not have his thumb on the pulse of this game at all. And I did think it was a very poor play calling effort from Matt. I'm sure they saw a lot of the things that they liked on tape ahead of time that they wanted to attack in this game. It did not work. He did not adjust. And it just felt like, Ejiro Evero was a step ahead. And I'll also say, there was also some very poor execution, even in times where Matt did call the right plays. There's a play early on, I think actually was the very first pass of the game, very first play of the game, I think, where Jordan checks it down on the left side to Josh Jacobs, and Jacobs kind of cuts inside before the defender can make a play. Musgrave is wide open. Musgrave is screaming wide open right down the middle of the field, and it sure as hell looks like Jordan looks right at him. And I don't know why he didn't pull the trigger. Maybe he's just looking at Kraft and doesn't see Musgrave, but he's right there. This kind of is going to lean into some of the conversation we're going to have about Jordan Love in this game in just a moment too. There's another play, Mike Wall talked about it, where Romeo comes open on a post play in the middle of the field. And there's a player that from the Carolinas defense that kind of loops inside. I think Jordan is expecting to get pressure there, but the offensive line picks it up and Jordan rolls to his right. Two things. I don't think he needed to abandon the pocket. Even if he felt like he did, instead of abandoning the pocket and continuing to roll, if he's going to abandon the pocket a little bit, what I would like to have him see in that situation is him recognize that the offensive line did pick it up. Can we replant still kind of in the middle of the field-ish, maybe slightly to the right, and still find that throw to Romeo? And I think he kind of abandoned that one a little bit too quick and then just rolled to the right. There's nowhere to go. He just has to, dirt it. And that's my point of, there were some very good play calls in this game as well that were just very poorly executed. Now, again, that's play caller Matt that didn't do great in this game, and that's getting this team ready to play Matt that did not do great in this game. It's not, it's 6-1, half a dozen to the other. Where do you want to put the blame? Either way, it goes back to the head coach. But on the plays where, again, even it was called correctly or they did have good play calls, it was not executed well throughout a good chunk of the day. Other notes that we had from the our film observations, there were signs early on and even a little bit later that this run game was much closer. Now, I don't think Carolina's defensive line is very good. So maybe that's just they had some opportunities against a bad defensive front, but there were signs of it in this game that is, at least to me, a little bit encouraging. I actually think Matt should have probably done a better job of sticking with the run game in this one, the way that it was working. This kind of goes back to being a little bit impatient, but there were, and also you had some poor holding penalties. I think Elton had one, John Fitzpatrick had one, that backed them up in a couple scenarios as well. But I did think that on some of their run plays, both out of shotgun and under center, you saw some really good stuff at times. There was a glimmer of hope in the run game of this one. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come and they can run against Philly this week. They're going to need to, but that run game has to get going. And there was at least some signs of that happening this week against Carolina. Next up in our notes, the defense. We're going to get to those grades momentarily, but the defense was the basically definition of, wasn't great. It wasn't bad. They had the big turnover by Xavier McKinney. He had the sack fumble that actually got positive yards. Micah had one tackle for loss. They played pretty tight in coverage, I thought, through the course of the day. Couple plays to Tedero and McMillan here and there. One play to Xavier Legette. But for the most part, they played, pretty stout in pass protection. The run block or the run defense was not good enough. Carolina got the best of them there. But it kind of was exactly what you expect. You allow 16 points, not catastrophic. You didn't get a ton of big plays. It was just meh. Was it their worst performance? No, not even close. Was it their best performance? No, not even close. It was just, I wouldn't say they had their A game or maybe even B game, but it was just there. It was a solid, fine, mostly fine performance that left a little bit to be desired, but was a winning performance at the same time. Exactly what you would expect, and the grades sort of are going to reflect that as well. And then last but not least, one of the things that I think is very undernoted, I haven't seen anyone say it, I haven't seen anybody talk about it. I thought the route running and the attention to detail within the routes was very poor in this game. And I thought it was from Christian. I thought it was from Romeo. I really thought it was from Malik Heath. I didn't, even Matthew Golden too. I did not think the route running was precise or crisp at all. There were some plays in this game where I'm like, do you know how to run routes? Because it doesn't look like it right now. Jordan kind of had to go through it. The pass protection was up and down. His receivers were not running great routes on the day. He loses his number one option in Tucker Kraft. And again, some of the play calling was a little bit off. Jordan had to sort of survive all of that and try to put together, a cohesive offense. And it was just very difficult to do. But again, one of the things I do want to point out, did not think that the route running down the field from the tight ends, running backs, receivers, really anybody was what it needed to be. And that's got to get corrected, because if you want to be a precise, rhythmic offense, you better have players running crisp routes and have a little bit more precision, or it's just going to be a very difficult chore, especially for Jordan Love at the helm, as he's trying to find open players and there's just nobody there. And corners and safeties are reading the Packers like a book because of their poor route running ability. I thought this was the most egregious example of it, but there have been a couple signs of that more as of late here and there. So they definitely have to tune up their route running and just, again, rhythm within this offense. Hey friends, Andy Herman here. Time to get our sleeper picks in for this upcoming Sunday. And I'm going with the international game, which is always fun, but it's always a little bit more exciting when you add some sleeper picks on top of it. Tried a little different philosophy this week. I'm excited about it. We're going Michael Penix, longest completion, greater than 33.5 yards. Darnell Mooney, longest reception, greater than 17.5 yards. And Tyler Warren, longest reception, fewer than 19.5 yards. I'm excited about this one. Get your picks in over at Sleeper. And the best part is that you can get a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKADAY. Again, a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing that code PACKADAY. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper for details. Available in over 25 states nationwide. So what are you waiting for? Get your Sleeper picks in today. All right, let's get to the overall grades. Top three on offense. Number one, Josh Jacobs, plus 0.5. Kind of once again did everything that he could. Not the most explosive performance, but had a handful of like 6, 7, 8 yard gains. Had that beautiful run up the middle for what went for like 15 to 18, somewhere in that range. Had that swing pass to the outside where he kind of waited for it. Then at the last second, attacked the ball, cut inside, made 2 people miss. Only got like 7 yards on the play, but that was a noteworthy one. There was maybe one play in pass pro that I thought he could have done a little bit better, but nothing overall egregious in pass pro. I just thought it was a solid performance, like a plus 0.5. If that's your highest grade on the day, that's going to be pretty telling that you didn't have a great day on offense. I thought Jacobs did what he could. Nothing super sexy or insanely flashy, but got what was there. Had the touchdown. Again, not a ton there in the red zone, but found a way to get into the end zone. So solid day overall from Josh Jacobs. Zach Tom, plus 0.4. Thought he had one of his best games of the season. I thought he was solid in run blocking, solid in pass protection. I think there was one play on a twist inside that him and I think it was Jordan Morgan, didn't pass it off well, and he allowed a pressure early on inside. Outside of that, I thought it was a really good day from Zach Tom. And then number 3 this, I don't know if it's controversial, but it just kind of goes to show, again, the variety of opinions on this. I had Jordan Love plus 0.3. Overall, it's not a great day for a quarterback, even at a plus 0.3. It was still a positive performance. The interception down the field into triple coverage, it was all the way bad. As bad as it gets, it's not as negative of a grade as you can get because it wasn't like a key moment in a key game or game on the line or something like that. But that's as bad as it gets for a non, big time moment or big time game sort of throw. It's a bad decision. Even if Merrick's not there, you're throwing into double coverage. And now Merrick is there, and now it's triple coverage, and you're throwing into the wind. And here's the other thing. Sean Ryan gets beat really quick up front. And so maybe if Jordan can step into this thing, maybe he can throw it at least past Merrick and make this a jump ball between Watson and maybe one of the defenders. Maybe the other one gets lost. You're still throwing into double coverage. It's still not a good decision. But if you can step into it, maybe that ball has a chance to get down to Christian Watson. He's got to he's not fading back, but he's just static. He's just planted but not in like a forward moving way. And he's just got to use all arm, and against the wind, trying to attempt a 50+ yard ball down the field, it's just always going to fall short. So understanding that he's not able to step into it, you're just better off taking the sack even in that situation. So I thought it was a really poor decision and a really bad throw all the way around. And then we talked about the one I looked like he saw Musgrave on the play early in the game and missed him. The one where he abandoned the pocket that I thought could have had Romeo Doubs for a touchdown. Just some opportunities there for Jordan in this game. At the same time, he came up with some big plays, drove him down for a touchdown in a must-have clutch situation at the end of the game. There are other scoring opportunities where, again, you had the missed field goal, a poor decision on 4th and 8 that, aren't Jordan's fault, that there should have been better point production in this game for the offense. But It certainly wasn't Jordan's best day, but I thought there was still a lot of positive stuff out there, even with some negatives to his ledger as well. And it still ends up, PFF had him similar, slight positive. I wouldn't totally agree with Justice's assessment from yesterday that he had a perfect game outside of the deep ball interception. Thought there were a couple plays that were still out there for him, but I didn't think that this was a massively negative graded performance from Jordan by any stretch of the imagination either. Bottom three on offense, it'll be surprising to nobody that Savion Williams was the lowest graded player, negative 0.85. The fumble was just a huge piece of that. Just can't happen. You're taking points off the board. It's a big missed opportunity, and gives the other team the ball in a pretty positive situation following that. Malik Heath, negative 0.55. When I talked about some of the route running, I thought he was culprit 1A. He just could not get open. He had one catch on the day. He had a nice move after the catch. That was a solid play for him. Outside of that, he was the one blocking on the screen pass that got blown up on the third down play. And he just could not get off of coverage at all. That was a tough day for Malik Heath at the office. Jordan Morgan, this is again one of these like eye of the beholder things. It seems to be you're either like sort of team Sean Ryan or team Jordan Morgan. I'm not, by the way. I want to see both of them do well, but I have tended to be more on like, I think Sean Ryan's just a little bit better. PFF had Jordan Morgan graded in the positive and Sean Ryan graded well in the negative in this game. I had Sean Ryan graded in the positive and Jordan Morgan graded well in the negative in this game. I know I've seen a lot of people say, yeah, I like Jordan Morgan out there. I've seen others be like, I think Sean Ryan should be out there. To me, this one was a pretty clear grade. I thought Morgan had a tough day. I thought both in run blocking and in pass protection. One play where he just gets completely like Reggie White, like almost hump moved, thrown to the ground. And, struggled with that the twist with Zach Tom that I talked about earlier. It was just a struggle. Some positive stuff, no doubt, from Jordan Morgan in this game, but a ton of inconsistency overall. And that's where he ends up with the third lowest grade on offense. Some noteworthy offensive players. We talked about the poor route running. Golden plus Dobbs plus Watson in this game were negative 0.2. Just thought they struggled to get open. And again, some of the route running, I thought attention to detail just needed to be a lot better. Luke Musgrave plus 0.2. Positive sign there. Thought it was a solid overall performance from him. Actually, I thought one of his better block wasn't great blocking on the day, but I thought he had a good block on one of the plays out there at least. And then had some catches late in the game that kind of got him, a little bit more in the positive. So plus 0.2 for Luke Musgrave. On the flip side, thought John Fitzpatrick had a tough game, had that really bad holding penalty, and then it got beat pretty clean on another block on the day, and just couldn't really make up for it with any positive production in the passing game or anything like that. So negative 0.4 for John Fitzpatrick. As I mentioned, I had Sean Ryan graded in the positive. There were some really bad plays from Sean Ryan in this game too. He did have a very sweet pancake in this game though also. So again, some very inconsistent play. That's sort of been the name of the game for this offensive line, but I did have a plus 0.3 on Sean Ryan for the day. I thought Aaron Banks actually looked good prior to going out. Now, PFF had him as their highest graded player. Now, if you have a positive grade and you only played 8 snaps, that's why from like an average standpoint, PFF's going to grade him a little bit higher. I had him at a plus 0.5. So I thought he was good. I thought he looked solid. It was a bummer that he went out because I think he would have helped a lot in this game. And then Elton Jenkins, PFF had a positive grade on him. I had a really positive grade on him going into I want to say maybe like the third quarter. He had a bad holding penalty. He had the, sort of false snap on offense that resulted in a penalty on a key drive where they were in the red zone. He had a play where he allowed a pressure right up the middle. And there were a couple other plays later in the game too that were just big negatives. And when you have that later in the game where you have a couple penalties, a big pressure allowed, and just that's going to catch up with you. That's why for me, he was in the negative. I thought again, early on in this game, he looked the best that he had looked yet. There were some signs from Elton in this one, but again, it just felt like the switch flips on and off right now. And when it's on, it looks really good. But when it's off, it just looks, stagnant. It just doesn't look good enough. You kind of had the tale of two halves almost a little bit with Elton in this game. It ends up being a negative 0.35, but early on, I thought he was playing great. It just didn't stay that way consistently throughout the course of the game. Top 3 on defense, Xavier McKinney plus 0.7. Not only did he have the pick, the sack, the forced fumble, but I thought he was all over the place through the course of the day. You might say, well, why isn't it a little bit better then? Well, on the pass rush, he kind of gets stymied initially and then gets off of it And then Bryce Young buys some time. He does a great job. It's a good play. It's a positively graded play. That one's positive. The interception he didn't do. I mean, he ranged to his zone and Bryce Young threw it right to him. So it'd be one thing if he like ranged over and like made this incredible play. It's a good play. It's a positively graded play. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from Xavier. Just I'm not going to give like a plus 1.0 on a play where he's just kind of in his zone, ranges slightly over, and Bryce Young throws him the ball directly. So it's a positive. It's a good play. That's why the grade's not just a little bit higher, but still, even take all of that away. I thought he was all over the place. They used him a little bit more in some unique ways in this game. And I thought it was a really positive performance from Xavier McKinney. Next up is Devontae Wyatt. It's another one PFF and I disagreed on a little bit. I thought kind of the opposite of Elton Jenkins in this one. I thought Wyatt struggled a little bit in the first half. I don't know if he was kind of still working off a little bit of rust from, not playing much the week before, although he played like 35 snaps and just kind of coming back from the injury still. But I thought as the game went on, he got better and better. And what I loved is it was in run defense. I thought there were some really good plays in run defense, which I love to see from Devontae Wyatt. It's been an inconsistent thing for him throughout his career, but he's been so much better at it this year. And especially late in the game when they needed some stops, he came up big, even took on a double team from, a couple times in this game. So I thought this was a positive performance overall from Devontae Wyatt. And then, yes, shocking as it may sound, my third highest graded player on defense was Keyshawn Nixon. Yes, he had the penalty in the end zone, holding penalty, clear as day, big negative on that play. Rest of his day, he was really good. Shut down the receivers he was covering. I thought he worked really well, both in man and in zone coverage in this game. He tackled really well. He rallied to the football. It was just a really good performance outside of that one, holding penalty in the end zone. So, it's unfortunate. They call it pass interference. I think it probably should have been holding. And maybe the ball was like, I don't. Either way, that was the one bad play. And outside of that, I thought he was really good on the day. Bottom three on defense. This will not surprise you, maybe very much. Nate Hobbs. Nate Hobbs, despite barely playing minimal snaps in this game, lowest graded defender. I thought it was, whether he was in the slot, outside, run defense, pass defense, should have given up a touchdown to Tetairoa McMillan. Bryce Young was a little bit high and off on it, but I thought McMillan could have come down with it. But he got beat pretty clean on that play. And there was a couple of run plays where I thought he could have done a much better job of coming up in run support and just didn't. It's been really, really tough for Nate Hobbs. And now he's out for a couple of weeks. That signing is not looking great. Again, I liked what I saw in training camp. Not that means it's practice and you can't keep an eye on anything, but man, it is not carried over into the regular season at all. And has been about as tough as you could imagine for what was a pretty big free agent signing. By the way, Aaron Banks continues to trend up, by the way. So that's a positive. I know he went out in this game, which injuries have been very frustrating with him, but he does continue to trend the right way from an offensive side and from that free agent signing, but Nate Hobbs continues to trend in the opposite direction. Nazir Stackhouse, negative 0.4. I think this is one where he just has to work on his consistency and technique a little bit. He had a couple good plays in this game where he got off of the block and was able to make a play, but I still thought that there was some opportunity for growth out there for Nazir. I still want to see a little bit more Brinson. Brinson held up pretty well against the run. I know they're different body types. I know they like Nazir out there, especially in some of the goal line situations. I still like Nazir, but just some growth opportunities there for him. Quay Walker, negative 0.35. The big thing for Quay in this game is he's just really struggled to avoid and or get off of blocks. He's been really good at that through the course of this year, is kind of shedding those blocks or even just avoiding them before they get there. This game, those guards and centers got to the second level and got on him, latched on him, and he just could not get off of it. And it allowed some bigger runs in this game. There weren't any like huge explosive ones. I guess there was the one to Dowdle, but yeah, I thought Quay could have done a better job of just anticipating some of the runs, anticipating some of the plays, either again, avoiding those blocks or getting off of them. And instead he just got stuck on some 300 pounders and it made for a really tough day for Quay. Not too much of noteworthy on defense. Carl Brooks and Colby Wooden combined for a negative 0.45 grade. Wooden didn't play a ton, obviously, with the injury, but those two guys, I thought, just a little bit of a step back this week. And it's part of the reason why the running game was a little bit more effective and why some of those guards and centers were able to get up to the second level on both Edgerrin Cooper and on Quay Walker in this game. And then Micah Parsons, his first game, not graded in the negative or not graded in the positive. He didn't grade in the negative. It was a neutral grade plus 0.00, just a neutral 0.00. But overall on the day, his least impactful performances of yet. Did have one tackle for loss, did have a couple plays where he got into the backfield, but I thought Carolina did a pretty good job of mitigating Parsons. He did end up on the ground on a couple times as well. So not negative, but not positive, just a neutral grade for Micah. So top 3 on offense for the day: Josh Jacobs, Zach Tom, and Jordan Love. Bottom 3, Savion Williams, Malik Heath, and Jordan Morgan. Top 3 on defense: Xavier McKinney, Devontae White, and Keyshawn Nixon. Bottom 3, Nate Hobbs, Nasir Stackhouse, and Quay Walker. You can get the full grades at PackerReport.com later today, as well as the full grades for the season. They should be up. I'm going to guess it's going to be probably like 7, 8 p.m. tonight, but they will be up there on Thursday night. Make sure to check out Carmen Vitale's video tomorrow, as well as Happy Hour tomorrow. Those will both take place on Friday. Again, check out the Justice Mosqueda video from earlier today if you have not done so already. For members, there's an Aaron Nagler video out there for you guys as well. Speaking of, shout out to our All-Pro and Hall of Fame members: PJ Wayne, John Wild, Brandon Paletta, Boom Handle, Donald Lee, Lori Lord, Baby QB, David McCluskey, Donald Decker, Alex Wong, Peter Ritaka, Jay Zimmerman, B. Brown, Puerto Rican Packer, Dan Gesford, SoCal Pack, Chris Rager, Izzy Roberts, Ian Ewing, Carlo Delgado, Willie Winklestinkle, Jen Wright, The Gable Storm, Pack Attack Cast, Chris Weish, Craig, John D. Metropolis, Hayden Radomski, Devin Lane, Gonzusa, Alexander Newell, Dan Miller, Bill Reinhart, Richard Morales, and Les Nino. I'll see you guys tomorrow, but until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.